So it's been a couple of years now since like the AI revolution, if you want to call it that. And there's been a massive amount of applications and tools and services that use AI. So I thought it was about time that we kind of came back around, and I wanted to know what your guys like favorite AI tool or process or system or application or whatever. Like what's your go-to? And I didn't want to say like what's your most used, but what's your favorite? What would you consider your favorite AI tool here in, where are we? October 2024.
I'll go. If you guys remember, I'm the director of support for a call center, right? Summarizing agents' phone calls is what I use it the most for. I just hit
what do you use for that?
It's a built-in tool to our call center software. So it's an additional fee tool. But
of course,
right, of course it is. But it's so much easier to just be like, summarize call. It gets stuff wrong and like doesn't give me all the information that I really want, but it gives me an idea of like what the phone call was about. So it's helpful for me in that sense. But
let me ask a question: Does that service pay for it, like per instance, or is it just all you can eat based on your monthly fee?
No, so it's a fee for the month. Like, so it's a all encompassing fee, no matter how many times I use it. But but it is per agent. So like I have it available to me, and then like my managers, I have the ability to do it, but not like the individual agents.
Gotcha. So would you say it saves you a massive amount of time then? Is it a real production?
Yeah, it does save me a lot of time, because like sometimes these phone calls, like I wish there would often I've been like, I wish there was like a 2x speed that I can like listen to this phone call on, because sometimes it's like, a 30-minute, hour-long phone call, and like that's a lot of time for me to just like sit and listen to my agent like talk to somebody, so a little summary, like, so if it gets escalated to me or something and I need to call this customer back, I need to know like what was generally discussed. I don't need to know the whole conversation. So that can save me an hour of listening to a phone call for sure.
And I guess that's why it works, right? Because you don't need to understand every little nuance. Because I imagine it's not the best at understanding nuance.
It's not.
It's just good at getting just a general idea.
Right.
Which if that's all you need, then it's like it's a perfect scenario, isn't it? It's exactly what it should be used for.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's what I use it for the most, for sure.
Okay. What about you, Paul? What's your favorite?
I got two. I got Cursor AI for programming. It's pretty awesome. I've been loving it. And I use it as my secret tool to create technical blog posts, because after I build the app that I want to make, I have all the context of the code in the app. And so I could start writing a blog post inside a README file. And as I start typing, it's like, oh, this is the code snippet used. And so it was very, very convenient. So this is cool. And so I personally actually like to build my own tools to solve my problems. And I was building this tool that allows, my idea was I want to be able to point to like 5, 6, 7 different resources. It could be a YouTube video, PDF, or what have you. So I was building this app for myself where I'm able to do that. And then I could have a chatbot where I'm able to create stuff based on the research that I did. So there's a company that already did this, and they did it pretty well. So I put it in the chat in the link, Cubby.nyc. That's like my second favorite tool, which basically allows you to pull resources from any source, an article, PDF, YouTube, podcast, video, audio, and docs, tweets, PowerPoint, what have you. And you have all that in your Cubby. And if you could scroll down a little bit, you could see kind of like what it does. You have it all inside your Cubby, and you're able to basically have a chat interface where you chat with all your documents to help you take notes and create stuff. So it's a very, very convenient way. And I was really upset that this company brought the thing to market that I was trying to build. That's what happens.
That doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means the market's been proved.
And so I know I'm not upset, to be honest. And the funny thing is, one of the people I know works for this company. I was like, wow, what a small world. This is funny. And then I'm trying to be like, hey, when you did that YouTube transcript, how do you get the time codes to show up appropriately for these secrets? But yeah, so I'm all about using AI to save time and to be able to take data and make sense of it. So what I find AI is useful for me is taking my word salads that I come up with and organizing them in a way that I could process that makes sense. And the last thing I was going to say, my favorite prompt at ChatGPT when I write emails at work is I do my word salad. I put in ChatGPT and I type, make it make sense. And it just fixes everything perfect. The points is still there. So
I like
that's
that.
Tip of the week
perfect.
for all you.
Prompt engineer.
Yeah,
prompt engineer. There you go.
Per year.
This
Let's
makes
go.
sense.
That's all we need. Meta prompts.
And it works surprisingly well. You get a lot of like a lot of good feedback. Like, oh, you've been really upping your email game. I'm like, no, thanks.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Bobby, what you got?
GitHub Copilot. I'm using that. I use it every day now. I've been recording YouTube videos, and I first had turned Copilot off because it gets in the way, and I've turned it on. And I have a love-hate relationship with this tool because it does get in the way sometimes. Sometimes it won't stop recommending until you take it. It's like a nagging, partner or something like that. Listen. Like, no, I got it. Did you take the trash out? I did. They'll just and so it's always recommending it. And it's like, stop. And sometimes you have to hit escape, left several times or whatever. But it does pretty good. The thing that it doesn't do, and I don't think it ever will, is it just isn't writing code for me like people think it does. I still have to know quite a bit about it to do it. And so I'm actually paying for Copilot. I'm paying for GitHub or ChatGPT. And I do use ChatGPT as well. So like when I want to prompt on something that's even about coding that is more generalized, hey, how does this work with whatever? I'm over in ChatGPT doing it instead of in Copilot because I don't like the UI over there. So I pay for them both. And then I do use ChatGPT sometimes. I'll take the code base out of here, stick it in ChatGPT and say, hey, write a blog article or write a post on this and break it down into steps. It's kind of my secret prompt. Given this code base, write an article, break it down into steps. And then it'll kind of generate stuff. Now, what I have noticed that even when I give it the code base, it gets it wrong. Even like the snippets will be wrong and you have to go through and edit them and change them. And so that's what I tell people, like, even if you take my meta prompt there, like, just know that like, if you're doing it just based on some code you copied from another GitHub repo and you want to quickly make blog articles on knowledge you don't have, it'll embarrass you.
Yeah.
Right. You've still got to understand what its outcome's supposed to be.
Yeah. I wrote an article the other day, just to give you an example, and I had some guys checking it for me, and it was based on a database and had SQL queries in it. And the guy says, hey, this SQL query is wrong. I said, what do you mean? He said, this entity doesn't exist. And I'm like, I hadn't read it close enough to oh, wow. It just totally misread that.
Funny.
So
made it up.
Went back and changed it. But we do check them here at Coder Foundry. So that's what we do. So
what's crazy, you could automate that whole process. And
with Cubby?
Not with Cubby, but just in general with AI, you could, there's multiple.
Oh, write an agent to do it?
Yeah, you could have you could pick a topic and have it automatically do the research, figure out what to write, and then write that blog post for you and then post it on your website, which is kind of insane to me. And a lot of companies are doing it. It's called programmatic SEO, where they're creating optimized SEO content, and it works. And I've seen some companies that do it well, where they have human in the loop that puts the final touches and reviews everything. But then I also seen people do it terribly. But the thing that upsets me is that it works, and so there's incentive for people to do that.
So we're definitely the human in the loop thing, probably 2 or 3 humans. So one of the things that we know that AI does that we don't like is titles. The titles are terrible. It's going to be something blah 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 colon the thing you didn't know. It's so it's just always like that. And then in conclusion colon the thing you didn't know. And so we are always, Kevin and I are always changing titles, stuff like that.
Are you legit? Not that's the wrong word. Are you curious about creating a more automated SEO driven publishing?
Yeah, we are going to write a lot of blog articles this year. And so what we do is right now is we're we are putting those topics together, and then we from ChatGPT we can probably like, hey, what do you think about this idea? And then it'll give us something, and then believe it or not, we'll take that, put it into a Google document, and start writing it together in the same screen.
There's a tool called AirOps, and there's a company that I work with for my other job, GrowthX. If you ever wanted to kind of see the demo of how to use it, I actually have an account. I use it on my personal site too, but you could automate bulk of the, having it come up with titles, descriptions, like SEO, and you can have it write majority of your article, and then, or at least an outline. Like if you're writing technical stuff, I would suggest, use it to like create the outline, and you as a human still need to do a lot of stuff. But for top of the funnel stuff, like if you're doing, framework versus another framework, or the 10 benefits of like learning to code, like it's really good at writing. Really,
so what we do, our process is typically Kevin and I will come up with the outline, and then we feed the outline the ChatGPT, and it'll write some initial stuff, and it'll come back with like 7 paragraphs, and then we're in each paragraph reading it and then changing it. Sometimes we reprompt it. So it takes a lot of, I don't know, to write an article probably takes us 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, it's like back and forth.
So I was going to say the benefit of AirOps is that you're able to create like different like flows where it's like, how you have to kind of repeat sometimes. You have to like, I had it write this and now I feed it back to ChatGPT and wait. Mm-hmm. You could create like this loop where it will take your outline, and for every key point in your outline, generate the blog post automatically. And what other thing you could do with AirOps, you're able to, let's say you have your specific content for your business, it could live in a vector database store. Mm-hmm. And so when it creates your article, it creates it off the data that you point to. So you can make stuff that's a little bit more specific to what you do.
Okay, I've got kind of 2 tools as well. The first one is just, it's ChatGPT, but not just ChatGPT. It's the voice version of ChatGPT. Remember the part they got, like, that Scarlett Johansson they had to take out? That part, the advanced voice that they added to ChatGPT like a few months back. It's that. Voice interacting with ChatGPT and having a conversation with it is really interesting because you can talk about absolutely anything. And my tip for talking to it is to, if I'm having a discussion with it, I instruct it up front to give it counterpoints to my points. So like my point of view, I'm talking about something. I'm like, hey, can you always kind of give me the counter argument to my point?
Sure.
And kind of push back on me and not just agree with me, because otherwise if you're talking to it, it will just agree with you. And then just like it's an echo chamber. And that's not really good. But yeah, it does a really good job of that. And it's interesting to talk to, and it's really easy to talk to because of the way that it's now really fast. And you can interrupt it. It's kind of like giving you a boring answer. You just like ask the next question. It'll kind of shut up and give you whatever you want to talk about. I think it's really good. I think it's underrated. I use it on my phone. You just hit the little button on my phone. I literally have it like as on my phone. I have it as the icon up here, and it's on my home screen. I just click it, and you can chat to it, and and it becomes a regular chat, and it becomes part of your history too, and it creates a really good memory of stuff you chat about too. Like it knows like what I think about like existentialism and like where I lean like politically and where I've lived and like the name of my cat, and it knows all of this stuff and it can reference this stuff. It's really cool. Like it's really interesting in the way that it works. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't checked it out. And my other one is Suno, just because I like making the songs for the end of this podcast. It's still fun. Yeah. It's still fun to make those songs, and it's such a great tool. It's a fun use of AI that I think is actually still really good. I use a combination of ChatGPT to write lyrics and then use Suno to create the song. But I'll also just look on Suno sometimes and just for inspiration, because there's lots and lots of stuff on there. I'll be like, because you have to come up with not only the lyrics, but you also have to give it the genre of music. And I'll find something on there sometimes like, oh, that's cool. Like, what genre is that in? And I'll just steal the genre and I'll just make that my own version of it. And it's cool. And the tools are getting so good now. You can replace parts of the song. You can actually use an image now. You can feed Suno an image and it'll create a song based on the image you're giving it, not just the text description anymore. It'll write lyrics and everything. It's just fun. So I don't know what our song's going to be about this week. Probably about the NSA.
Yeah.
The NSA phone song. So next after this, at the end, you'll probably hear a song.
easy to rhyme in essay. That's gotta have
Right.
killer.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Indigo song.
But yeah, those are my two.